What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge NFL Kickoff Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Will Brinson, Ken Brooks, Sia Nejad, and Danny Brasco here for a banger of a Sunday night football game between two AFC powerhouses, the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, they played well. They're like the best 1 and 2 team in football, maybe. They're favored here at home. 2.5-point favorite as well, with reigning MVP Lamar Jackson and MVP favorite currently Josh Allen. If he's not, he should be. It might be Mahomes, but Allen's played probably better than anybody this season. A total of 46. If we don't get fireworks, I want a refund. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Not good.
What's going on?
Not good?
Ken's, yeah, tell us about the shambles. What's going on?
First, Georgia looks terrible against Bama in the first half. Then they just emotional roller coaster me for the next 2.5 hours. It felt like, just for Carson Beck to, was it me? Like, why did they score so quickly the first time? Fine. And then Jalen Milroe throws a touchdown. And then the second time, why did they score so quickly again? There was so much time. No need to force a pass into the end zone to get intercepted. What am I missing something? And why did they score so quick? I'm like, Kirby's program's better than mistakes like that. So I was really upset about that. Also, the fact that I clowned Damian Harris all over Twitter the day leading up to that. And I gave out a pic with a Georgia helmet on my head. So that didn't age well. And then the Eagles went out and did basically exactly what I assumed they were going to do. And just pooped that bed. And my foot's fractured. So
your foot's fractured?
You literally only go up from here. I'm due for these tonight.
I had I've got one parlay that's like a anytime touchdown scorer parlay that's looking decent. I don't want to jinx it, but I have one player in tonight's game that needs to find the end zone. He's a big dog.
You're not going to tell us who it is?
It's Derrick Henry.
Okay.
So yeah. It was crazy too, because it was it's Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson, and Marvin Harrison, and they all got there the first three guys got there in the first half of their games. Marvin gets there in the first 5 minutes. I'm like, and they're obviously offering some cash out that's like a third of what the total is. But I digress. Carolina lost to Duke, and that made my weekend as NC State won, and Mac completely choked. The program's in shambles. I couldn't be happier. It makes me a terrible person, I know. But how about you, Sia? Doing well? How was your day?
It's going okay. Checkered with SportsLine. I think I'm 1 win, 1 loss so far. I'll have to double check that. I've got a prop for tonight. I do this thing on Fridays called Rapid Fire Friday on a different show, and I really did poorly on that specifically. Fortunately, not a lot of those were on SportsLine, so I'm still doing great in props. I think I've only lost 1, maybe 2 props over the last couple of weeks, and I've had about 9 or 10 of them. So hopefully we can get the prop I have tonight.
Let's do it. Danny, good day, bad day?
Good day, man. I'm rolling 18-4 in the last 22 picks on SportsLine right now.
All right, so Danny.
We're cooking with gas, and I didn't want to say it too loud because you don't want to get in that zone, but the reads have been there, and I hope they continue to be. I like some of the contrarian plays I was on earlier today, like the Colts plus 1.5. A lot of people high on the 3-0 Steelers, and that just felt like ready to the bubble to burst there. And I totally could understand it, right? Richardson and the Colts. Enter Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
The Colts are contenders all of a sudden, right, with Joey Flack. So love that. And some other contrarian plays I might have tonight. No surprise to some regular viewers here, but we'll get into this game, I'm sure. Right
Sia, aren't you a Commanders fan?
Big time.
Woo! I mean, Jaden Daniels is the truth.
Smoked him.
This dude, and that donkey over got there somehow. Arizona scores 14 points. Shout out Cliff Kingsbury revenge game. But Daniels looked awesome.
You know what's really cool, and this all assumes Jaden Daniels stays healthy, but what's really cool is you've got this guy on a rookie contract for the next 5 years. And what does that mean? It means you can really build around a just kind of a lower cost contract and really build up that defense. So if this team can have a winning record this season, which it's looking like is a distinct possibility, imagine what they can do once they get these salary cap dollars out and really spend on the defense, maybe spend on a skill position player. Sky's the limit.
And it's okay to root for them now. It's like I don't mind. Like I'm happy for Washington's success. Hadn't always been the case. Shout out to Danny Snyder. All right, let's get into our game for the evening with our picks on the game. I actually clicked away from the rundown, so I don't know what is on the rundown, but I do know I can go to Danny for a primetime under.
You know me too well, Brinson. We're getting to know each other. Hey, welcome back. Surprise, surprise. I'm on a primetime under. If you've been on them with me, you've been making a lot of money. And this one is going to be a hard pill to swallow, but so was the Cowboys-Giants with those offenses and untrustworthy defenses. And that one soared under, I should say. What's the opposite of soaring? I don't know. Stumbled under? Plummeted under. Thank you, Kens, for the thesaurus.
Trundled?
Right, I'm very familiar with words like plummeted right now, so you just let me know. Fresh off.
Like Georgia is plummeting down the top 25 rankings.
Kens, you got to pick yourself up with an under.
I know. I actually, okay, that's fair. But I have a few over props that I do like tonight. I'm feeling good.
And I'm sure that player props can hit the overs, but ultimately 46.5 totally. Curiously ticked down from 47.5 with over 70% of the bets coming in on the over. So reverse line movement in primetime games on and under is always a red flag for me for over bettors, and something that I love to see as an under better. And really, you look at the game, the X's and O's on the field, it's Joe Brady's ground heavy offense against this Ravens number one again in defensive rush success rate on defense. They've been stopping people against the run. It's their secondary that's been getting lit up and been putting up these ugly numbers on the scoreboard. But this defense can stop the run. And when the Bills aren't able to establish that with Cook, if they struggle with that, we could see them regress on offense. I certainly think they're due for some regression after the 47-point drubbing they put on the injury-ridden Jaguars. So, I think a lot of zone-heavy defenses can create field goals and, third and longs potentially. And once again, I don't need to explain to you why these unders in prime time are hitting. They just come through. So give me the under 46.5. I like it.
The one thing, and I think it's just worth mentioning here, is that it did feel like, and some of this was matchup based, like Bengals and Panthers, Cardinals and Commanders, like bad defenses, but it did feel like offenses kind of got going this week in terms of, and I think, we have to wait a year to forget it and then remember it again. But like, because of the shortened preseason, because of the shortened offseason, it's like the first 3 weeks were like, the NFL's like dead, offenses are toast. And then it's like week 4 rolls around and everybody's firing off touchdowns. So
initially I was worried about, because I'm a big under better. I always have been. They've been a successful, bet for me to target. I was worried about the changes in the kickoff rules and advanced field position, maybe contributing to higher scoring, better field position, average starting field position, higher scoring games, but it has not resulted in that so far. So unders all the way.
Sia, what you got?
What's interesting? My official play is a prop and not a pick, but I will say this about Danny's play. And before I get to my lean on the side, you could have both of these offenses relatively successful and have the under still hit, because I do think the Ravens rush defense will be able to stymie James Cook and company. And I do think the short areas where Josh Allen is going to live with the passing game. And we know if you're living in that short area and you're allowing the things underneath, I'm speaking of the Ravens defense, that's going to tick the clock as well. And I do think on the other side of the ball, the Ravens really want to milk the clock, really want to just have the ball through the running game. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, maybe a little Justice Hill. I noticed in the chat somebody recommended a Justice Hill combo prop, which for the record, I like as well. But as far as a side here, I actually like the Bills. I've been underestimating the Bills since the preseason. I thought their win total under would come in, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I certainly didn't think they'd win the AFC East. I thought that would be the Jets. That's not going to be the case. It's looking like after the Jets lost to what I thought was a Big 12 team, or I should say like maybe a Big 12 is a bad example, a team that can't score in the Denver Broncos. But the long and short of it is the Bills have impressed me. And I think that this passing game, I think Josh Allen's going to have some success. I think he's going to have a clean pocket. And I just don't think the Baltimore Ravens defensively in particular without Mike McDonald look like the same type of team. And if it's all on Lamar Jackson to beat a good team like the Buffalo Bills, I don't care if it's at home or not. So my lean is to the Buffalo Bills on the road here.
I was like sitting here. I had like scrolled up in the chat because I was checking like for people who had questions on props, and all of a sudden I hear this like giggling in the other room, like nonstop. And it appears that Robbie has entered the chat.
It's like a Star Wars moment there, like Empire Strikes Back.
It's like this, it was just this, you could hear the giggling out there. I was like, what is going on? Anyway, Kens, what do you have in terms of the game here?
So literally in the model, it's like high 25 versus low 25. So I rounded so we get a score that's not 25-25. And I do lean the Bills' way for a few reasons. Danny touched on it a lot. Their corners or their cover corners are great. Like they're stopping the run, but you look at the middle of the field, the inside linebackers, the secondary, they're just not showing up right now. And that's exactly the type of defense you want to be working with if you're the Bills, who use their tight ends, who use slot receivers. This is the perfect defense for them to take advantage of. So until the Ravens do show up in the middle of the field and slim down that yards after catch, because I believe they lead the league in yards after catch allowed, then there's really no reason to believe in them right now. Agreed. I don't think Lamar on his own can be the ones to stop this team. I do think he'll get a lot of pressure. We'll see some passes to Justice Hill and Derrick Henry as well. I like that Justice Hill over Russian receiving, absolutely. But yeah, slight value, I guess, technically on the Ravens, but I think the Bills' money line is probably worth the play here.
Yeah, the Justice Hill stuff is interesting because we've sort of seen it with Derrick. It's just like Derrick Henry's career. If he's on a team that's trailing by a lot of points, they're not going to leave him out there. They're going to put Justice Hill out there. And so if the Bills get a lead, that like live player props on Justice Hill, definitely a consideration. I am on the Bills plus 2.5. They are my preseason Super Bowl winner. I will continue to ride them. They look awesome. Josh Allen has been, it really feels a lot like 2022 Mahomes, where you trade away the star receiver and not having to sort of feed Steph Diggs and being able to spread things around. Like the offense hasn't, I think, obviously last Monday they exploded. But and Allen in primetime games, he usually steps up. There's a huge matchup here. I don't think I'm not worried about Allen and his production. And I do think this offense showed us what it can do when it needs to on a big stage. Ravens will keep up enough that, they won't have to keep they'll need to keep their foot on the gas. Did you pointed out you have Ravens minus 2.5, right, Danny?
I did not. So let me enter now as the dissenting opinion. It's a little legalese for my guy Sia. But I hear you guys, and the Bills have certainly impressed. They're 3-0, unexpected 3-0, some key departures, like you guys mentioned, big injuries, Matt Milano, goodbye Tre'Davious White, there down goes Terrell Bernard. What are they going to do, right? And Rasul Douglas and these guys, Christian Benford, they're playing out of their minds. So credit to Sean McDermott and his guys. The Bills have really impressed me despite losing all those guys. Now, all that being said, I think they're the dogs for a reason, and they're getting a lot of public action. More than 70% of the bets are coming in on the Bills. They're still plus 2.5 dogs. The line hasn't moved. The Ravens at 1-2 being minus 2.5 faves. It's just one of those curious lines where you're like, it's the ugly favorite. And I kind of like those. And again, at the end of the day, this comes down to Lamar Jackson against these types of spreads. When he's an underdog or a favorite of less than a field goal in the regular season, 17-2 against the spread for his career. He wins close games in the regular season when he's, short favorite or a dog. I'm going to back him here. Again, publicly back dogs, usually a red flag for me. Just like reverse line movement in NFL, I got to stay away from those sides. And I really think that, like a lot like these defenses that have a new coordinator, it's going to take some time for Zach Orr to get used to the book. I mean, Mike McDonald is the man. He's awesome. That's a huge loss for the Ravens. You see what he's doing with the Seahawks, right? It's going to take some time for Zach Orr, and the secondary has gotten burnt. But I don't know. This might be the game where the Bills wide receiver corps that's been able to do it with Shakir and Coleman, this might be the game where it gets a little tough. If the run game isn't there and they know what to expect, I think the Ravens step up here and win this primetime game. I like them minus 2.5. I'm going to back Lamar in this spot with that against the spread trend all day.
I'm too cold on my public picks to try to battle you on this one. You're dragging me on CBS Sports Network with my graphic, making fun of me, and I'm going to get slimed again. And it's not very fun. So go Bills. Let's look at the inactives for this game. I believe we have a graphic for the inactives. If not, I'll just pretend like I know who they are, and we'll move right on to the player picks, or I'll look it up on the Twitter machine while you give us your player prop. Sia.
So one of the reasons you mentioned showdown with Danny Brasco, one of the reasons I'm not doing that is because I kind of want the Baltimore Ravens to be playing with the lead, because as much as I might lean towards the Bills, I much prefer the prop that I'm giving out, and that's Josh Allen over 20.5 completions. This is right anywhere between -120, -135. I think it's okay to take here. And here's the thing. I don't think the Bills are they're going to try to run. They'll have some successful runs here and there, but the one thing through a small sample size, but historically as well, I mean, the Ravens defense is pretty great. The rush defense is pretty great over the last few weeks. It's the pass defense that's the real big problem. And I think hopefully it's a trailing game script, so we can see Josh Allen maybe pass it a little bit more often. But what's interesting about the Josh Allen experience over the first few weeks is that the game scripts have been like way off. Like the Dolphins game, he was basically shut down. Last week, the game got completely out of hand. So I do think this is a game that keeps his attention for 4 quarters. And I think it's a game where they're just not going to be able to run the ball like they have for the first few weeks. What does that mean? It means a lot of just Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, maybe Keon Coleman, maybe Mac Hollins gets in the mix, or Dawson Knox if he's active. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, enough of it for him to get to 21 completions. That's my play, over 20.5 completions.
I like it. I mean, I think, and as someone who has a whole lot of Josh Allen bags, I want this game to go way over, and to, like, Josh Allen is chunking the ball all over the place. Hopefully it happens. Danny, what do you have from a player prop perspective?
No props for me here, but one play I do like on the Bills side, actually, to say some things about them, is a James Cook anytime touchdown. He just fits so well into this Joe Brady offense. And I know the Bills, I spoke about how the Ravens have been very successful in defending the run, but James Cook has been involved in the pass as well. He's such a dynamic back, and there's no way I don't think that he gets involved, or that he doesn't get involved in prime time here. So if I'm going to take somebody's score, I saw around plus 145 odds. I like James Cook to find the end zone if I was going to attack a player prop. Brinson, we were talking about injuries too. Taron Johnson out again, Mike Edwards out again for the Bills, and Olafosio, another linebacker. So Bernard, Milano, and Olafosio all out for the Bills. Lengthy injury report for Buffalo.
We got some Devontae Walker's out, but I don't think that necessarily matters. Michael Pierce not in the game, and a couple offensive linemen for the Ravens in terms of,
that's important. They also added 3 new offensive linemen in the offseason, and that was an issue to start the year. So their offensive line woes could continue as well, which makes me like the under, just to circle back.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah. Oh man, just Derrick Henry, just get in the end zone, buddy. I'm on James Cook anytime touchdown as well. The usage is just through the roof. Like, you're getting plus 150 on him. I mean, Joe Brady is feeding this guy, and I think we saw this, against Jacksonville. It's a little tougher because it wasn't a close game. I think Josh Allen will be willing to go more Superman mode and try to score with his legs if he has to in these spots. But I also think they're going to try to score with James Cook first, because Josh Allen banged up that left hand. They don't want him to get hurt. They know how well he's playing. They know, what this season could end up being. And so I think James Cook, a very good look, given his usage near the goal line too. Lamar Jackson over rush yards. Look at his rushing yards this season, his rushing attempts. He said before the year he slimmed down to run more, to be more athletic, to be more electric. And in these games against the Chiefs and then against the Cowboys, like, where it's, they're 0-2. It's like, we have to win this game. And against the Chiefs, he said it. He's like, that was kind of their Super Bowl. He's activated his legs, and his rushing attempts are way up, and he's hard to tackle. I think he'll run a bunch, and I think he will eclipse. Last I saw, I think it was like 57.5. It may be up a little bit, but I think he goes over 60 receiving yards pretty easily. Kins, what you got?
2 plays we like tonight. I like the model as well. We have value on first Derrick Henry over his rushing and receiving prop of 67.5. We have him projected for 94, 80 rushing yards alone. And I think that is because they should try to control this game on the ground, keep Josh Allen and that offense off the field, where their secondary has proven vulnerable. So I think he gets a ton of usage. He doesn't look like he's missed a beat really in any way. And the part about the receiving is, I think that the Ravens have admitted through week 1, week 2, that they have been predictable. If he's on the field, he's going to run. If he's off the field, they're going to pass. So I think they try to get him more involved in the passing game, and they did against Dallas. He got to break off for a 23 yard reception. And then again, while this offensive line is still developing, while there's some pressure, they've called a lot of effective running back screen passes, really. So I think I know Justice Hill will be a factor, but I think Derrick Henry might be more than we think as well. And then Khalil Shakir, I heard someone talking about him in the chat as well. And I don't want to call him Rashee Rice, but he's exactly the type of guy that can take advantage of this defense right now, getting free on short routes, and then just continuing to run with the ball with none of these inside linebackers or safeties really nearby. So I think it's a perfect situation for him and Allen to connect tonight. And his usage is really only going up through the weeks. We have him projected for 56 yards. So about 10 yards of wiggle room there. And he, for what it's worth, his first career 2 catches were against Baltimore in Baltimore. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir is profiling like a possible breakout guy in this Bills offense. All right, let's take some. Oh, Lamar Jackson's over is 56.5. Nice. Let's take some questions from the chat on props. I know Ramo asked Sia is 21.5 pass attempt still good.
If for the record, I still see it at 20.5 in a lot of places, but yeah, I would still take it at 21.5 as long as it's not more than like -110. If it's -110 or better, take it at 21.5. But if you're having to pay like -120 at 21.5, I know that sounds like a small difference. And it is a small difference. It's kind of up to you on that one. I do think he'll get to 22, but I just wouldn't want to pay heavy juice on it. By the way, Kenz, I can't believe what you just did to Khalil Shakir. You just compared him to a guy that just tore up his knee, and I don't know, maybe out for the season. Hopefully you didn't jinx him. I know how things have been, quote, plummeting. I don't want that to happen to players you talk about.
I said I'm not comparing him to Rashee Rice, but I am going to go on to compare him to Rashee Rice.
The jinx gods.
Justice Hill over.
Uh-oh. Can you guys
Did
hear
I just
him?
lose audio?
You're back.
Robbie, back.
Robbie was flying down the hallway screaming, "I'm out!" So I was like, "All right, like Justice Hill over 31.5 rushing and receiving yards." I like it. Again, his usage is really good, but it is game script dependent. Like, if the Ravens are up big. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sia.
No, I was just going to say yes and no. I mean, I think in neutral game scripts too, they do have Justice Hill involved. So, I mean, I think this one could kind of go either way. I personally like the look on Justice Hill. I don't know that I think there's like a huge advantage to this one, or I should say a huge edge, but I would definitely lean to the over there. And for the record, we're going to talk about first touchdown scores. He's not my first touchdown score, but I was debating between one of two. And I just want to say Justice Hill was the other one at plus 1,800.
Ooh, spicy. I like it. We got a question. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. I think that's
we're in on that.
Prime time. He loves to score in prime time. Are you getting plus odds on that though?
Yeah, he's plus. I see plus 125 out there.
Yeah, then I like that.
Yeah. And this might be the last time we see some good plus money on him for the foreseeable future. So
yeah,
I'm out on it. I just want to be contrarian. I'm out on that.
Fine, Sia.
I mean, I do think if it's like a close game and the Ravens are doing a good job of slowing down James Cook at all, then they'll call some plays down by the goal line for Josh Allen. But it's not. I mean, I think they would prefer to run the ball in with James Cook if they can do it.
Right. Justice Hill has soared over that. What was the line? Was 31.5 rush plus receiving yards?
Yeah. We have him soaring over that line.
He's gone over that in every week so far. And in week 1, he had 6 catches for 52 yards just in the receiving game. So he's getting look. I think he's going to end up being a cool kind of gadgety player. I kind of like that. And that's still a low total. If he explodes over this total, you ain't getting that number ever again. So interesting look. I might tail that. Whoever put that in the chat. Shout out to you.
Like it. Derrick Henry TD and over 68.5 yards plus 130. Like I see his anytime TD is as high as or low as minus 175. So, that's a tough lay right there, especially
you can get minus 140 on MGM, I believe still.
Okay.
But I anything 2-leg under plus 150 sometimes is kind of like, I don't know. What do you guys think? But I like both of those plays. I just wish you were getting better than plus 130.
Yeah, I would trying to see if there's a way to. I was trying to toss a parlay situation. I can't figure it out. I was trying to see if I could get like a 60 rushing yards, because I mean he should get there, but again, like he does have the game script dependency that if Buffalo just comes out and scorches on offense, you may, Baltimore may be forced to throw and maybe forced to use Justice Hill a lot. So be cautious there. Lamar over 35.5 longest completion.
I kind of lean to the under on that one personally. I don't know. I mean, listen, he might hit Rashad Bateman deep, or maybe even Zay Flowers after the catch, but I don't know that the game plan is going to call for a bunch of deep shots. And I just have a feeling the Bills are going to be playing, not taking a lot of chances on the back end. So I would take the under there.
And both of these defensive coordinators are known for playing super zone heavy defenses. So if the zones are working, it should cover over the top or potential explosive plays. Like Sia said, I could see Zay Flowers making 3 guys miss and getting one, like any longest over completion. But I agree. I think I would stay away from this.
I think I'd be more interested in Josh Allen's longest reception, given the way that the Ravens defense is looking right now.
For sure.
That's right. And I would actually look at Lamar's completions because of that zone look that he's likely to get. He's been very good against zone. So completions, maybe he'll pile up the yards. You could maybe look to the over there. But I also think that's somewhat game script dependent. Will, you talked about live overs with Justice Hill. I mean, I think you could really look at that with Lamar Jackson, because if he finds himself down, I actually think he'll be pretty successful with his arm if that's what the game script calls for. Yeah.
Like Lamar will, end up going, like, look at the Cowboys game. It was, they ended up winning by 3, but they bludgeoned the Cowboys. It was out of control the entire game. Lamar finished 12 of 15 for $182 and a touchdown, right?
Like, that's when they're their best.
Yeah. But if they have a big lead, Lamar's just not going to attempt a ton of passes. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And that tracks for most teams, but in particular, this one, Rashad Bateman over 25.5 yards and Flowers 5+ receptions.
Tough combo there, right? You're asking a lot from 2 guys that need the same thing. It's you need a lot of ball share for both of those guys. Could happen.
I think I like the Zay Flowers receptions more, just because, I mean, again, like that Cowboys game, Lamar had 15 attempts. He got 4 targets, 3 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown. Like, he is kind of the focal point of that offense. He said, expecting a finally Mark Andrews breakout game. I mean, nobody wants to play Mark Andrews, by the way. Like,
isn't that wild?
Yeah.
It's not the year of the tight end so far, but it's also likely had a breakout game in week 1. And then the next 2 weeks, he curiously disappeared as well. So again, game scripts, can always contribute to that, but where are the tight ends? Where is Andrews? And I wonder if either of them emerged tonight.
Travis showed up today.
There you go.
I think Sia, did you wait? Oh, you had over completions. Yeah. So, I mean,
I don't mind the pass attempts as well. I think, I think the reason, just so everybody knows, that I take completions over pass attempts, what I'm suggesting there by taking one over the other is that the quarterback, in this case, Josh Allen, is going to be more efficient with his passes. If I don't think he's going to be efficient, but I think he's going to throw the ball around a lot, then I would actually go for attempts over completions. But again, because I think he's going to be working from a clean pocket and hit a lot of underneath stuff, that's why I'm going for the efficiency. That's why I'm going for the completions over the attempts.
Okay. Last call for prop questions. Somebody asks, anyone feeling James Cook over 21.5 receiving yards? Sure.
Yeah.
Still low.
Kinda.
Wow. Yeah. Still too low. Oh man, that guy he can catch.
He likes to now be warned, he is not afraid to drop like a possible touchdown pass. And you're like, man. But yeah, I have no problem with James Cook over. They get him involved. He is heavily featured. I maybe seeing a little bit more Ray Davis, but probably only if it's a blowout. I think they're working him in, and they expect him to be, more important as the season goes along. All right. Somebody asked Zay Flowers. Oh, Kincaid over 39.5 receiving yards. Man,
I feel like with the last primetime Bills game, we were talking about how this is probably the lowest you're going to get Kincaid. Proppy was talking about it. It was like low 30s. He's like, this is going to be up by 40 soon enough. And here we are. We have him around low 40s. So nothing, I wouldn't pay heavy juice on it. We have him at 43. Maybe buy down and with another play, a little 2-legger.
And I'm pretty sure Prop Stars, as early as Monday or Tuesday on the early edge, I believe he gave out the Dalton Kincaid receiving yards prop. He did it again on his prop show, I'm sure, but I think he had it at 38.5. So it hasn't even gone up that much. So I don't want to speak for prop stars, but if he liked it at 38.5 a lot, I'm guessing at 39.5, he likes it as well.
Yeah. I mean, Kincaid got to 41 on 5 targets, 3 catches, and that touchdown against Jacksonville. And they, I mean, again, Allen, Mr. Trubisky played in that game. So, I mean,
And the line on Kincaid was 34.5 in that game. So because he didn't eclipse it by a huge margin, you still get a bettable, if that's a word, line on him there. Once he has his breakout game, getting 80, 90, 100, maybe even 100 plus yards, then the market on that will be gone. So maybe worth another stab while it's still here in the 30s.
Yeah.
All right. Kens, why don't you hit us with the models? Anytime touchdown. We already did. We did player props. The graphics scared me. Sorry. Anytime touchdown props.
All right, let's get into it. A few of these we have talked about. We do like Derrick Henry. Look, minus 140 relative to I think what it could be by the end of the season, up to CMC-esque levels. So we would set this at minus 200. So still solid value here at minus 140. Again, could even be one of these screen passes here, controlling the time of possession. I think he'll see the ball a ton tonight, and he scored every single week this season. So minus 140 really doesn't seem that bad for something he has continued to do week in and week out. Then Isaiah Likely, we haven't really touched on him in a while, but I think the Ravens still, you have to put more of your focus on Mark Andrews in the red zone here. So it's just the better bet and probably better value of who's going to score. Again, Lamar Jackson is going to have to get the ball out quickly, and Mark Andrews really should just be the focal point of the defense in the red zone. Then Josh Allen. I mean, he has not gone 3 straight games without a rushing touchdown since basically 2 full seasons and playoffs, which is wild. And I attribute a lot of that to the blowout-esque game script that we saw in the past 2 weeks. I don't think that will be the situation this time. This is not Miami. This is not the Jags. So this could be a spot where he does feel inclined to get there himself. We would make this, minus 105, basically even money. So plus 130 is still a pretty good value.
Dig it. Isaiah Likely.
We're back. We're back on Isaiah.
Back on Isaiah Likely. That's the other thing. The game script, they have to throw a bunch. They like to use him in that if the offensive line's not holding up and they're having to throw, they use him in that short yardage area as sort of the safety valve for Lamar. So yeah, I mean, man, this is it just feels like a massive game script type of setup here.
I hope Likely breaks out. I've him in a dynasty fantasy league, and I've completely mismanaged him. The breakout games he's had, he's been just sitting on the bench saying, "Hey, Danny, what about me?" And then he just completely turns into a ghost when I put him in the starting tight end slot. So yeah,
did you start him this week?
I've been so locked in on the bets that
because I was going to either fade or you're going to back his props if he's on your bench.
Yeah, right. He's likely there.
Yeah. All right. We've all had our first touchdown bet called back before, and BetMGM is giving you a second chance with BetMGM's Pro Football Second Chance. Place any first touchdown scorer bet, and if your player doesn't score first but scores second, get your entire stake back in cash. No opt-in required. Here's how it works. Place a pregame straight first touchdown score bet in any NFL game. If your player scores the first touchdown in the game, win your wager is normal. If your player scores the second touchdown in the game, you'll get your stake back in cash. It's that simple. Log into BetMGM for more details. Let's get to our first touchdown scorer bets. And Danny, you may want to check to see if you're likely in your lineup before you give out your pick here.
Well, it won't matter because this team of my 3 leagues is doing so putrid performance. I have 50 points. What a disgusting team. It doesn't matter because Likely is in the starting tight end slot, and he's scoring the first touchdown tonight at plus 1,800. Get him back involved in the offense. Where's Mark Andrews? We don't know. Maybe he's a decoy at this point, and he's more of a teacher to the new protege, Isaiah Likely, who broke out for a huge game in week 1 against the Chiefs, right? I mean, he was a focal point of this offense. Let's see that get started again and target him in the red zone. I got him getting in first.
Yeah, there's some pretty juicy numbers on Ravens out there. Sia is dabbling right on the line, the 10-1 line with a Ravens player, though.
Yeah, I feel bad about doing this because I'm normally just like Brasco. I'm showing up with 30-1s or 25-1s or 40-1s. But I kind of sort of gave this play out on a show on Friday, and I don't want to be a hypocrite and not have the play today. So I'm going with the chalk. I'm going with Zay. I think there's so many targets that Lamar has access to if he has to throw the ball into the end zone. I think Isaiah Likely is a really good call as well. But Zay Flowers is the alpha receiver in this offense. And in any sort of second or third and long situation, I do think he's the first read. So I'll just go ahead and scoop up the chalk at 10-1.
Okay. I know. I was going to say that I am not going with this guy, but I do kind of get a little intrigued by Mac Hollins. For a 35-1 player, he's just out there a lot. They love him. They just love Mac Hollins. I think they really like his run blocking. He gets a ton of Josh Allen's going to him. I think if you're looking deeper down the board, that's a pretty good shot. But have to go back to the well with my first love and Kenz's first love. Who we got, Kenz?
Yeah, we're going Dalton Kincaid. I've been sticking to the tight ends. It's got to be a tight end for me. Again, we're talking about this Ravens defense. Tight ends are having a field day. Slot receivers are having a field day. Dalton Kincaid just continues to be a solid part of this offense. I could see them getting down to the red zone first in general. The Bills here, so 16-1. I'm actually pretty surprised by the value we're getting here. I went into this hoping for Dalton Kincaid. I wasn't even sure I'd get 10-1, so 16-1 I'll take.
Yeah, this market's like actually pretty decent for some of these players in this game in terms of like the longer numbers.
Well,
you have
the
Lamar
Bills offense, it's like you don't know. There's no guy, so it's great.
I think it's because we have Lamar doesn't really rush for a ton of touchdowns, so his numbers pushing people down because he's plus 850 or in that range. I wouldn't want to take Lamar at that price. Josh Allen obviously runs a ton near the red zone. It's all constant. And then Derrick Henry, right? If they get down to the goal line, you expect to see 2 or 3 runs with Henry. It's also concentrated at there that I think they priced some of the secondary and tertiary people pretty well. Okay.
Hey, Will, I've got something real quick. Oh, Danny, you go first.
I'm just all of a sudden I tailed in the chat. I couldn't find who it was, but his Justice Hill play. All of a sudden, I'm kind of feeling Justice Hill involvement in this game, so I kind of like him to get in first as well.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier too. I was debating between kind of changing my answer from Zay to Justice, but listen, you can throw in 2 first touchdowns. So take your favorite one here, your favorite 2, and just add a little Justice Hill sprinkle. But can I just add something real quick?
Yeah.
I think this might be fun because Brad Betts asked me something in the chat, and frankly, it was about alt lines or something, and I don't really have a good answer for him on the fly, but I started to look for an answer. You know what I thought would be fun, and something I've been somewhat successful at in the young season is picking the correct ladder play. So I think for every primetime show that I'm on, I'm going to have the ladder play of the day and of the night in this case. And there's not a great one in this game. Like if I was thinking of the 4:00 games, I think Trey Tucker would have been the one I would have said the ladder. He would have gotten to the front end of his ladder, but nothing beyond that. I think my ladder play is going to be, and this guy's total is 27.5 yards, receiving yards. Plays for the Bills. He had to sit out last week first quarter because he was late to a meeting. Tremendously talented. Keon Coleman. I think that's a guy you could take his over. And by the way, it's not an official play for me to take the over, but you could even bypass his over of 27, 26.5 and just play the upper ends of the ladder. Go 40 plus, go 50 plus, go 75 plus, because if somebody could get deep on just 2 receptions, it would actually be Keon Coleman in this offense, in my opinion. So I think that's my way of not answering Brad Bett's question, but answering it at the same time and also incorporating something fun in future shows. Ladder play of the day, it's Keon Coleman.
Yeah, climb. Yeah, Noah Brown didn't get the ladders done, but involved in the offense. Should have had a touchdown today. Really should have had a touchdown. He got just mugged getting deep. I think that's a guy I'm interested in playing more and more of if this Commanders offense is indeed good. And last exciting news, James Palmer reporting that Rashee Rice believed to have torn his ACL.
Yeah, so it didn't look good. You saw the look on his face. They were probably feeling around his knee. I think they kind of knew, and he knew right when he was on the cart. I
had a anytime touchdown score round robin that had cashed 2 of 4, and I needed Rashee for the 3rd one, and man, they froze that cash out quick. I was like, man, this guy broke his leg. Why don't you're muted, Kens?
It's like using gambling to get to the injury report confirmations quicker. We're just
Yeah,
reverse
yeah.
engineering
I was
here.
like, why is this cash out unavailable? He's like he's on the card. I was like, oh, okay.
They're always ahead. They're always ahead.
Yeah.
They're not. Hold on. They're not always ahead, specifically in college football, where there's just the portfolio so diversified. There will be times. I just want everybody to understand this because the books aren't always on top of every little thing. There'll be times where a quarterback like gets hit hard and they break to commercial, but you can tell the quarterback's like about to get thrown into concussion protocol or their ankle is completely jacked up, and the line won't move for another minute or when the commercial break comes back. So you can look for those things and take advantage of. I'm just telling you, historically, I've been able to do that. So something to look out for.
I love it.
I know like FanDuel specifically in Bet365, they have like a stat feed that's as fast, if not faster than like the NFL game stats and information system, which like we have which is kind of crazy. Like, I mean, smart, but crazy. Okay. Let's get to a recap. I have the Bills plus 2.5, James Cook anytime touchdown, Lamar Jackson over 56.5 rushing yards, Sia on Josh Allen over 20.5 completions. Danny's got Ravens minus 2.5 under 46.5. And Ken's with the SportsLine model has Derrick Henry over 76.5 rush and receiving yards, and Khalil Shakir over 47.5 receiving yards. I don't know why somebody's complaining. I always make it about my bets. Like, I mean, it's a freaking gambling show. They told me to talk about it. Like, yeah. You don't put me on a fantasy show. I'll talk about my fantasy teams for 4 hours. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Awesome show as always, guys. Let's cash some tickets here for Danny, for Sia, for Ken's. I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.